They say some places never forget the people who once filled them. Old movie theaters, abandoned cinemas, the smell of popcorn and varnish lingering in the air, they remember. But this cinema, it doesn't just remember. It relives every laugh, every gasp, every cheer that ever echoed across its creaking floors. The marquee outside hangs crooked, letters missing or faded, Grand Elm Cinema. The glass is cracked, the posters torn and yellowed with age. But the doors, heavy and wooden, are still intact, slightly ajar as if inviting the brave, or the foolish, inside. I push the doors open. A shiver runs through me as the hinges groan, complaining about the intrusion. Inside, the air is thick with dust, stale popcorn, and something faintly sweet, almost like decay hidden under varnish. The carpet is threadbare, the seats torn, but the rows remain, stretching from the lobby all the way to the giant screen at the far end. I step forward, flashlight sweeping the darkness. The hall is silent at first, too silent. My footsteps echo unnaturally, bouncing off the walls, the balcony, the ceiling. I think I hear something else. A faint rustle. The shuffling of feet. But when I stop, the sound stops too. The lobby is in ruin. Concession stands overturned, cans and popcorn scattered like the aftermath of some long-forgotten rush. The ticket counter glass is cracked, a layer of grime coating everything. Behind it, faded stubs are still stacked in trays, some dated decades ago. January 1978. March 1985. July 1993. I move toward the theater proper. The heavy curtains hang in tatters, framing the massive screen. The projector booth above is dark, the machine long gone, or so I thought. As I step onto the first row of seats, I hear it. Laughter. Soft, almost playful at first. Faint, echoing from the balcony, the back row, the aisles. My breath catches. The theater is empty. Every seat is torn, covered in dust. No one could possibly be here. The laughter grows louder, bouncing off walls, filling every corner of the room. I spin the flashlight around, catching glimpses of shadows shifting in the seats, moving unnaturally, like figures bending just beyond the edge of light. I try to convince myself it's my imagination, the wind, the building settling. But then I hear it again, distinct, clear, a single chuckle from the row behind me. I whirl around. Nothing. Only torn upholstery and dust. I step toward the screen. The projector hangs silent above, reels long removed. And yet, the flicker begins. Tiny, at first. A frame of light flickering across the screen. Then another. Shadows dancing on the wall in time with the invisible film. I blink. The images sharpen. People, laughing, eating popcorn, gasping at a film that I cannot hear. Then the laughter escalates. Hundreds of voices, echoing across the seats, some high-pitched, others deep and mocking, all layered on top of each other. It's no longer playful, it's mocking, cruel, and relentless. A cold draft snakes around me. I shiver. My flashlight illuminates a row of seats, and I see it, a hand, pale, pressed against the back of a chair. Not flesh exactly, more like a shadow shaped like a hand. Another hand appears on a different row, then another. The laughter keeps coming, each echo louder than the last, filling the room until it feels like the walls themselves are laughing at me. I stumble back toward the aisle. The shadows follow, creeping along the floor, climbing the backs of chairs, twisting and bending with the laughter that never ceases. I shine the light at the balcony. Figures sit there too, pale and blurred, their faces twisted into wide grins. Their eyes are hollow. Yet they stare at me, unblinking, as if waiting for me to take my seat. I realize then, the theater doesn't want me to leave. From the back, the aisle lights flicker. One by one, they ignite on their own, revealing a path toward the exit, or perhaps deeper into the hall. Each step I take toward the back makes the laughter louder, closer, almost surrounding me, pressing against my chest. The smell of popcorn grows stronger, almost suffocating. Then, faintly, a whisper, carried under the cacophony, "Sit down, watch with us." My heart pounds. I'm frozen in place, staring at the screen. The flickering images have changed, now they're me. My movements, my flashlight, even the way I breathe. They're playing a film of my intrusion. The laughter explodes into shrill, manic giggles. Shadows begin to rise from the seats, moving closer, filling the theater with motion without bodies. I back into the aisle, the echoing laughter chasing me, intertwining with the screech of the broken seats and the creak of the floorboards. I realize this cinema has never been abandoned. Not really. Every ghost, every echo, every shadow is still performing, still laughing, still trapped in the endless reel of time. And as I reach the doors, I feel a cold hand brush against my shoulder. I spin. Nothing. But the laughter doesn't stop. It follows me out, spilling into the lobby, filling the empty streets beyond. I glance back one last time. The marquee sways gently in the wind. The letters creak, almost forming words, "See you soon." The laughter didn't stop. It grew louder as I moved down the aisle, twisting around me, filling every corner of the theater. I dared to shine my flashlight across the rows of seats. What I saw made my stomach turn. Figures sat in every chair, pale, blurred shapes, their faces contorted into unnatural smiles. Hollow eyes stared straight at me. They didn't move at first, just sat in rigid silence as though frozen in time. But the laughter, it kept coming. Layered, overlapping, impossible to escape. I took a tentative step forward. A hand rose from the back row, pressing against the torn upholstery. Then another. Each time I moved, more hands appeared, climbing from the shadows. Their laughter mingled with the sound of creaking floorboards and the faint hum of the old projector. The screen flickered again. Now it showed more than just the audience. Faces of people I didn't know stared back at me, watching, grinning. Some were blurred and melting, others perfectly still, frozen in their joy. The images shifted, and suddenly the scenes began to follow me. My every movement, my flashlight's beam, even the rapid beating of my heart seemed to be recorded and played back in real time. I backed into a row of seats, feeling the floorboards tremble beneath me. The shadows had begun to rise, flowing from seat to seat, stretching toward me like black liquid, animated by the laughter. The figures weren't solid. Not quite. They were something else, memories, echoes, or spirits trapped in the theater forever. I tried the aisles, running toward the back, thinking I could reach the exit. But the theater had changed. The rows stretched further, the ceiling seemed higher, and the shadows multiplied, flowing around me, slowing me down without touching me. The laughter morphed, at first cheerful, then mocking, then almost screaming, a deafening cacophony that rattled my bones. The balcony above me shivered. A figure appeared in the shadows, a child, maybe 7 or 8, wearing a faded costume from a theater performance. Its head tilted unnaturally, eyes hollow and black, mouth stretched into a grin that no human could mimic. It clapped once. Then again. Each clap echoed throughout the hall, perfectly synchronized with the invisible orchestra of laughter. I stumbled backward, my flashlight illuminating torn posters on the walls, depicting films long forgotten. Each one seemed to move slightly, the faces in the posters turning toward me, grinning. My mind screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like lead. The laughter was no longer just sound, it was pressure, a force that pressed on my chest, filling every corner of my being. I reached the stage. The curtains hung like tattered wings, and I could just make out the outlines of old seats on the balcony. I stepped forward, almost daring the shadows to reach me. And then the laughter changed. One laugh, distinct, sharp, and clear, closer than anything else. It came from the screen. I froze. The projector wasn't running. There were no reels. And yet, the image flickered, revealing a single figure seated among the audience, a man in a tuxedo, his head cocked to the side, grinning in a way that chilled me to the bone. He raised a hand and waved. The laughter swelled into a roar. The shadows surged forward, climbing over seats, spilling into the aisles, pressing in from every side. The floor vibrated with the force of hundreds of unseen feet stamping in unison. My flashlight flickered, then died, leaving me in darkness except for the pale flicker of the screen. I stumbled backward, my hands finding the torn seats to steady myself. Then I heard it, a whisper beneath the laughter, "Join us, sit, watch, forever." The screen shifted again. The faces on it changed, now showing me, my own terrified expression reflected back, distorted, hollow-eyed, laughing. I screamed, and the laughter paused for just a heartbeat. Then it resumed, louder, more vicious. I ran for the side doors. Shadows crawled along the walls, climbing over chairs, spilling into the hall like smoke. The laughter followed me, twisting into screams, cries, and clapping all at once. My hands fumbled at the door handle. It didn't budge. I yanked harder, finally forcing it open. The lobby greeted me with silence, for a moment. The marquee outside swayed gently in the wind, letters crooked and fading. I thought I had escaped. Then the laughter returned, softer this time, but everywhere. The echo of the cinema, following me out into the night, a constant reminder that the audience never leaves and the films never end. I stumbled out of the lobby into the night, but the laughter didn't stop. It flowed through the doors like smoke, curling around my legs, pressing against my chest. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just my imagination, just the wind carrying echoes from the old cinema. But it wasn't. The streets were empty, dimly lit by flickering streetlights. I dared a glance back. The cinema loomed in the distance, dark, silent, and yet alive. Shadows flickered behind the torn curtains, forming figures that leaned, twisted, and gestured toward me. I ran, but the laughter changed. It no longer came from the cinema, it followed me. From every alley, every cracked window, every silent street corner, I could hear it, laughter without a source, layered, endless, mocking. My chest burned, my lungs screamed, and yet I ran. I had to get far away. I had to put distance between me and that cursed place. But the sound followed, growing stronger, sharper, now forming words between the bursts of laughter. "You can't leave, the show isn't over." A sudden movement in the shadows ahead made me stumble to a halt. Figures emerged, pale and hollow-eyed, wearing torn clothing from decades ago. A couple in old-fashioned suits, a child with a faded bow in her hair, a man in a tuxedo, each one grinning as though sharing an inside joke at my expense. I realized then what the cinema had become. It wasn't just haunted. It was alive in memory and spirit. Every audience member ever lost, every soul who had laughed, gasped, or cheered inside its walls, was trapped in the building. And they wanted company. I ran again, this time zigzagging down streets, hoping to break the connection. The laughter ebbed slightly, fading into whispers, but it was still there, persistent, following me even when I doubled back to check. Every shadow became a seat, every alley an aisle, every echo a spectator. Hours later, I finally reached the highway, the faint hum of distant cars reassuring me that the world beyond the cinema still existed. I paused, gasping for breath, hoping that leaving the neighborhood meant leaving the laughter behind. For a brief moment, it seemed gone. Silence, real silence, enveloped me. The air was cool, fresh, and normal. My heart rate slowed. Then I heard it, soft, almost tender. A single laugh, clear as day, coming from behind me. I whipped around. The street was empty. The only thing visible was the faint outline of the cinema in the distance, its windows dark, its marquee swaying gently. I shivered. My mind screamed at me to keep moving, to never look back, but curiosity, or maybe fear, forced my gaze upward. The balcony window flickered with a pale light. A figure appeared there, a woman in a faded dress, clapping slowly, eyes hollow, mouth frozen in a wide grin. And then the projector light flickered on inside the cinema. The screen glowed faintly through the torn curtains, showing the empty seats. But they weren't empty. Shadows sat there, hundreds of them, grinning, their laughter echoing into the night. I didn't wait to see more. I turned and ran until the city swallowed me, until lights replaced shadows, until voices replaced laughter. But the memory lingered. The echo of the cinema, the grin of those trapped souls, the laughter that could never end. Even now, when I close my eyes, I see the seats. I hear the laughter. I feel the gaze of hundreds of hollow eyes following me, waiting for the next audience member to disturb their endless performance. The old cinema doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. It doesn't allow anyone to leave fully unmarked. And if you ever find yourself near an abandoned theater, a crumbling hall with a projector that hasn't run in decades, listen carefully. If you hear laughter where no one should be, don't stop to investigate. Don't take a single step inside. The show is already running, and the audience never leaves. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more abandoned places, haunted cinemas, and forgotten corners where echoes never die and laughter never stops.